Hey. So, a question I get often, right, is, how do I really know if someone is being genuine, sincere, they're really invested in whatever this is that's going on here, right? And this is kind of, this is something that has a lot to do with guys and whatnot, but this is really something that, we can kind of see in our everyday lives in general too, right? Um, I know for me, really seeing if someone was serious about what they were doing was especially apparent when I was in sports coaching, because I've been a sports coach, and even when I was in personal training too. There was always a dead ringer on whether or not someone was going to be serious about, what they were about to undertake, either as a competitor or, just trying to do better for themselves as far as wellness is concerned. And that was change, right? Whether or not the person was willing to change. And also be consistent with change, right? And when we think of a person changing, I know a lot of times too we say like, oh, that they're not changing. That person isn't, changing. And for the most part, people, we're creatures of habit, right? For me, like even just in terms of how you use ketchup, right? I'm a dipper. My sister is a spreader, right? But I'm a dipper. And I've always been a dipper. I'm never going to change because, like, why? And that's kind of how it is for most people is, unless there was a really, really good reason for changing how you do things, you're probably not, right? Especially as you get older and kind of set in your ways, it's like, no, this has been working for me for quite some time. I'm not willing to do this. And that's one of the reasons why it's such a huge signifier for whether or not someone is serious about you and serious about the situation, right? Especially when it comes to guys, or if you're a guy watching, women too, is just seeing, you know, how they're willing to change, where they're willing to change, and how they're, kind of weaving the situation into their current lives, right? Now, I know for for women and men in particular, this is especially important because women, a lot of times, well, I won't get into that. That'll be another video. But I feel like this is more true when it comes to trying to figure out if a guy is really serious, right? Because one of the dead ringers for me, if someone isn't that serious, is if they say they're busy. Right. Now, I'm a very busy person, right? But pretty much all the time, I almost said 9 times out of 10, no, pretty much every day, no matter how busy I am, I'm always going to have like a cool 30 seconds. And that's all it takes to send a text like, hey, I'm thinking of you. You may not hear from me, but you're still in my mind. Let's meet up on Friday, right? So if someone isn't even willing to do even that, sorry. It's probably time to reevaluate that situation right there, right? But again, like I said, it really comes down to how much a person is willing and wants to include you into their lives. Because people, like I said, people are creatures of habits. To get them to change how they go about their day, because I'm not even talking about like when we talk about change, a lot of times we think of this like lofty thing. I'm talking about even in just like the little things, right? Because the little things are often just as impactful as the bigger things and outcomes in our life. But I'm talking about even just little things is a lot for some people. For some people to actually change even in the little things and how they move and how they operate, says a lot about how they feel about you, right? Because again, I'm not even about to change how I dip my ketchup, right? But if someone is willing to move differently in order to make sure that you fit into their lives, that is a very significant change in their life. And I won't say it's a dead ringer for a situation in which someone is being genuine and being true. It's always going to be a combination of factors, right? But it's a pretty big factor, right? To consider when it comes to change. Because when it comes to guys in particular too, because a lot of them, the way men kind of approach dating versus women. Men, it's more of a like kind of stumbling into a, like when they get into a situation, a lot of times it wasn't even intentional. It just is like, oh hey, she's actually pretty cool, right? And so because they're not in that space where they're really thinking of you long term, you're not going to see a lot of change in that situation, especially if he's dealing with a lot of people, because he's still going to be about himself. Uh, Include you in his life, and you see those little changes here and there, where it's like, oh, he actually went out of his way today to do XYZ thing, or he called me at a time where I knew that he was a little bit on the busier side, but he wanted to make sure that I knew that I was on his mind, right? And again, like I said, take this as just a piece. If you know what a rubric is, it's like, on a scale of things. Like I said, it's just one piece of a puzzle, but it's a pretty big, hefty piece that indicates how willing someone is to change their life, right? And again, and this is actually in a lot of things. Even when I was training people, I could gauge how pretty early on, I could gauge how well someone would take to their training, or even in sports, what kind of athlete they would be, by their willingness to change, right? Because especially when you're a personal trainer, you're implementing new plans, you're implementing new things that they've never done before. And some people will be like, oh yes, like this is great, I'm going to do all these things. Other people are like, I don't think I want to do all this, right? And it's like, okay, so I kind of know, I can kind of gauge how this is going to go, right? And again, same for people. So make sure that when you're dealing with new people, new situations, all the above, make sure you note how much they're willing to weave you into their lives, right? Because that is a big indication on where they like who they see you as, and what they're willing to do, and where that situation is going, right? All right, so that was my post. You see, I'm kind of got my winter hat. I'm in my car. That's my my post workout message. It was actually spurred by like I said, because I get a lot of questions sometimes about different things, and I got it both. I got it both as a gym related question, like like I really want to do something new, and then I also got it as a question, someone asking about their significant other. I was like, ooh, this is really good. This is something that I can kind of blend together for an answer, right? Again, willingness to change. Willingness to change is what tells you how serious, and yourself too, serious you are about a goal, or something, a goal, a person, anything that's going on in your life. Willingness to change. All right. Bye.